son of a powerful Saudi billionaire, allied with American Secret Services, leaders of one of the largest terrorist networks of the contemporary era. My name is Gaspard G, and I'm going to tell you the story of Osama bin Laden. Music. Music. The story of Osama bin Laden begins on March 10, 1957 in Riyadh, the capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Mohammed bin Laden is one of the most powerful public works entrepreneurs in the country. His mother Alia Ghanem is Syrian. She married Mohammed bin Laden 14 years old and was only 16 at Osama's birth. Alia is not Mohammed bin Laden, who married 22 women with whom he officially had 54 children. Osama being the 17th. Yes, at least 53 brothers and sisters. Osama grows up in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, in a rather wealthy neighborhood. Oh yes, because I forgot to mention when I told you his father was a powerful entrepreneur. Powerful is a weak word. Mohammed bin Laden Group, a true public works empire in Saudi Arabia. For example, renovation projects of the holy sites of Mecca.
C'est pas rien. Tous ces chantiers lui ont été confiés par les rois d'Arabie Saoudite successifs qui lui accordaient toute leur confiance. Disons les termes, Ben Laden père est richissime. Le problème, c'est que les parents d'Oussama ont divorcé quand il était très jeune. Tout ce qu'il sait de son père, c'est sa mère qui le lui a raconté. Cet être inconnu mais généreux puisqu'il finance l'éducation d'Oussama malgré tout, fascine le jeune garçon qui vit une enfance plutôt paisible. Autour de ses 10 ans, Oussama bin Laden vit 3 épisodes décisifs dans son existence. Il apprend la mort de son père dans un accident d'avion qu'il n'aura pas vraiment connu et qui lui laisse une fortune colossale. Il vit également avec effroi la victoire d'Israël sur la coalition des pays arabes en 1967, ainsi que l'occupation de la Palestine. Le monde arabe, battu à l'époque, nourrit un esprit de revanche dans lequel Osama bin Laden se construit. Oussama est un adolescent plutôt timide et désireux d'en apprendre plus sur la religion musulmane. Guidé par l'esprit de revanche dans lequel il grandit, il intègre des groupes islamiques rigoristes
for the students.
Gradually,
Bin Laden becomes enclosed in religious egoism. Transmit to him the doctrine of the Muslim Brotherhood, to put it simply, the establishment of Islamic republics replace the regimes present in Muslim countries. Schools, basically, governments, to enforce Sharia law. Professors encourage him to abandon his liberal leisure activities like listening to music or going to the cinema to devote himself fully to religious work. King Abdulaziz University in Jeddah enters to study civil engineering and commerce. There he discovers a character, a professor whom many students in the same situation as Osama bin Laden Abdullah Azam. Not just a professor, he's called the Sheikh. He's a radical preacher for a true mobilization of Islamic territories and armed implementation of jihad. The French translation of the term jihad is a bit notion that means struggle and effort. Originally, but over the course of history, jihad has taken on a warlike connotation, hence this idea of war against infidels. From this connotation that the extremist doctrine of Abdullah Azam draws inspiration. The orphaned Osama bin Laden finds in Abdullah Azam a guide, a reference spiritual father. The radicalization of Osama bin Laden is underway, and an event will accelerate the process. In 1979 and the USSR invades Afghanistan, a Muslim nation. Blow is dealt to the Arab world. It's too much for Osama bin Laden, then volunteers to help the Saudi government that supports the Afghan refugees. Years old and travels to Peshawar in Pakistan, at the border with Afghanistan. He promises his mother he won't go to the front, he just wants to help civilian populations. Osama bin Laden meets other young men from the Arab world who came jihad against the Russians. Combat tempts him, even if he keeps the promise he made to his mother, he doesn't go to the front. In fact, Osama didn't go to Peshawar. By chance, he joined his professor, Azam, who seized the opportunity around his ideas. Young Osama bin Laden is a major asset. The colossal fortune he inherited from his father allows the two men to develop a structure to recruit, finance, and train foreign volunteers who came to wage jihad while helping the Afghans. This
is called the Services Bureau.
Osama bin Laden and Abdullah Azzam gradually organized the lives of all
Foreign fighters who came from the Arab world,
North Africa and Europe.
what we call the Mujahideen. Thus,
1980
between
and 1983, bin Laden,
round
who
trips
makes
between Peshawar and
Saudi Arabia, finances
of the
Mujahideen.
she fears
His
he'll
mother
go to
is
the
worried,
front.
knows he secretly
She
wants to
Reassure her,
Two,
he calls her every day.
To remind you, at this point he has no military experience, he's a simple, well, almost, the heir to a powerful billionaire family, close to the Saudi crown, but despite the promise made to his mother, Osama bin Laden wants to fight Soviets. He crosses the border from Peshawar. He takes action. Here he is on Afghan territory, on the front line. He's 26 years old and a jihad fighter, a Mujahideen. He's accompanied by a few.
Will train for combat, but on ground, bin Laden notices that the
training conditions are not ideal. Training grounds he has better quality.
A bulldozer himself.
The atmosphere is a bit.
He's a young man who came for
like
training.
the others, but he finances everything. Quite like the definitely not.
The
However,
trainers notice that he's
not very skilled. He can't shoot
weapon.
with a.
He doesn't know how to fight.
He doesn't really know all the symbolic stakes
Of the conflict.
Trains slowly,
So
but he
Osama
has
bin
bin Laden, asset beyond his fortune, his determination, fears nothing. He's convinced he can also become a fighter. Throughout 1984, Osama participates in combat alongside all the Mujahideen against the Soviets.
For
He
his
makes an
fighting
impression,
quality, but
not
for his tall stature and his absence of.
Nevertheless,
Taken seriously
he's not really
as
a soldier. Calls him constantly,
mother.
begging him to leave the front and asking him to return, but nothing Osama
works.
bin Laden is engaged in a war. In fact, there's an important point. Afghanistan takes place between 1989 and the Cold War is therefore still current. The Soviet Union has imperial ambitions, that's notably why it invades Afghanistan. The Americans are therefore favorable to the movement deployed in Afghanistan that fights against Soviet
That's the
expansion.
reason
Why America, represented by the CIA,
Mujahideen
supports. They are a bulwark against USSR expansion. Give both versions, and
the
we
CIA
claims to have supported and
through
organized
training
the
and
Mujahideen movement. Weapons, but it denies having directly helped Osama bin Laden. But let's continue.
Front has distanced bin Laden
This
from his
year on
mentor.
Abdullah Azzam,
Osama
better to
begins
go
to
his
think
own
he
way.
would. No sooner said
So,
than done.
At
the beginning of
1987,
his
Osama
fortune
bin
to
Laden
open
his
his
own Mujahideen training camp, separate from the Services Bureau. He has
chosen
a
already
location for his training center, the mountains of Jaji in southeastern Afghanistan, enemy
Very close
lines
to
the.
For the
He
place,
has also found a
Al-Masada,
name, meaning the lions. Denver. It's actually
Located
a bunker within a hill, a confidential place where bin Laden's small team prepares for combat. In this
Osama
Osama bin Laden mainly receives Arab jihadists from the Saudi region. We are in April. The mountains of
Soviet
Jaji
army reaches.
suspected this. The
This
jihad
point is
fighters strategic. The USSR sends heavy artillery bombardments. Screwed either way, bin Laden's small team, about 50 Arab soldiers, decides to come out of the lion's den and go into combat, relentlessly ready to die for their cause, and against all expectations, while encircle the Afghans and Arabs. After 39 days of combat, the USSR loses the Osama bin Laden, then commanding
This small army becomes the hero
the Battle of Jaji, and gradually
his image changes.
Now
only
the
no
image
longer
of the rich heir who participates in soldier training, appears as a warrior, an icon of combat. The men trained those closest to Osama bin
Laden then begin to nurture a
new desire to unite the jihad of the entire world around the figure of Osama bin Laden. Gradually, he takes the place. Abdullah Azzam, master,
The student has surpassed
the new face of jihad is now Osama bin Laden. Music. In 1988, Osama bin Laden is 31
a
years old
decisive
and
encounter
makes
that radically
his relationship to jihad.
The man he meets is called Ayman al-Zawahiri, an Egyptian Muslim refugee in Peshawar because he's in conflict
Egyptian
with the
regime. Seduce
quickly,
Osama, Ayman's ideas. He
a new vision
exposes
to
to
him.
jihad. Laden supported
Until
was
now,
that of
the
a doctrine
defensive
that
jihad.
protection of Islamic territories under attack. Al-Zawahiri affirms that we must now, in fact, the Muslim Brothers close. To Al-Zawahiri know about Osama bin Laden's
flattering him and promising him a
They
great
know that by
future, he will follow them.
We're not
And
wrong.
they, Bin Laden adheres
His
to
new
the
friend.
ideas of
His former
Are
Mujahideen allies.
radicalizing
Osama is
further,
changing in
aligning himself with
Al-Zawahiri's ideas.
everywhere
battle
he has
has
changed, that we must
No longer simply fight to
defend ourselves but to wage an
international battle against the West, against forms of blasphemy,
leaders
against Arabs,
opposed to the Muslim
brothers, against America, the former ally. Osama bin
Revenge
Laden
wherever it
advocates
will
war.
be
Necessary.
That's his
Here we
new
are
vision.
in August 1988, and
Laden
Osama
founds
bin
Al-Qaeda,
meaning the
in
base.
French, helped notably by Ayman.
Al-Zawahiri and Abdullah Azzam. Laden has distanced
Yes,
himself
even
from
if
close
two
in the
men.
organization of
Jihad.
There it is,
Definitively
bin Laden moved
has.
from a movement of defense of Afghans against the Soviets to an international organization designed to administer jihad everywhere in the world. This time in the background, pushed aside by the Arab jihadists of Al-Qaeda who favor bin Laden and are supported by the Saudi government to which bin Laden is close. Here he is, commander, chief of Al-Qaeda, Amir, that is chief in Afghanistan. In Osama bin Laden returns to Saudi Arabia after the last Soviet tanks have definitively left Afghan territory. He is welcomed as the country's child has become a war chief. But later,
a few months,
relations between bin
and
Laden
his native country begin to
in
tense.
1991, Saddam Hussein's Iraq invades. This is the
Saudi
beginning of
leaders
the
take
Gulf War. Kuwait's defense and quite quickly demand support from the UN Security
and more
Council.
precisely from the
Americans. Bin Laden is very opposed to land in
He
Kuwait.
believes that
They
if
will
the
be on
Americans-
Saudi territory and will not want to leave even after winning the war. So he tries
proposes
everything to the Saudi government to send Mujahideen, his own soldiers, to defend Kuwait. Proposal is
But
refused. Great
The
for Osama
disappointment
bin
is
Laden. The Americans accompanied by a coalition land in Kuwait to liberate it. For his part, as a real
Bin Laden
American
sees this.
invasion. This episode,
since
he breaks ties with the Saudi monarchy.
Worse,
Bin Laden
he
calls
opposes
them
it.
tyrants. Rupture
This,
with the government of his country of origin marks yet another new turn. Osama bin Laden choice allows him to become fully a pan-Islamic warrior without any allegiance other than Islam. Means all, so pan-Islamic. He belongs to all Islamic territories. His departure
Here
is
he
without
is,
return.
leaving for a new conquest.
A detour through Pakistan, and bin Laden jumps into a private jet heading to Sudan. In 1992,
Relocates
his
Al-Qaeda
choice
to
is made
Sudan.
that the most faithful will follow him. Osama bin Laden settles with his wives and children, yes, because he has at least 24 children in total. By the end of his life, in a large house in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. Obviously, this choice is not random. He gets along well with the Sudanese power that supports Mujahideen actions, who welcome him and
show
who are
his support
period
for the
of
people.
famine. Osama bin Laden decides to live the hard way, no air conditioning, no fridge, be done with available means. Everything finally, the secluded life that resembles a manhunt seems to please him. Externally, this lifestyle. Muslim world are convinced bin Laden will become the true guide of jihad. The Sudanese government chooses bin Laden's disposal much land in Khartoum. He becomes one of the he hires Sudanese for agricultural tasks. At the time, activities he even developed work like his father. In parallel, develop Al-Qaeda by recruiting and training new soldiers. Of Osama bin Laden divides in the Islamist world. For example, armed men with Kalashnikovs goes a group to his house in Khartoum to assassinate him, but they find an empty house. Bin Laden after this episode, he withdraws. Further, not even going out to pray. No one knows of him. Around 1994, Saudi government broods bin Laden has after angering his own. So the Saudi monarchy, his mother, to Sudan to convince her son to return home. Laden clings to his new Sudanese life. Since he no longer considers the country's monarchy strips him of his nationality. Osama bin Laden is now stateless. The Saudis don't give up and use force, they conclude a pact with the Americans who demand bin Laden's expulsion from Sudan. 1996, for his part, even proposes to tries everything, his life, to become a simple entrepreneur. In Sudan.
But his proposal is, here he is,
without
expelled from
consideration.
Sudan.
Osama bin Laden knows his revenge will come.
From now on, he will no longer territories, he will fight for himself, for his own revenge. For now, he must take refuge
Only
in the
place familiar to him, in which he is at home, Al-Masada, the lion's den, in Afghanistan. Arriving there, he doesn't know what the future holds.
Now in the
Afghanistan
hands of
is
the Taliban, another
radical Islamist group that has taken power in Kabul.
Les Saoudiens ne lâchent pas l'affaire et emploient la manière forte. Ils concluent un pacte avec les Américains qui exige l'expulsion de Ben Laden du Soudan en 1996. De son côté, l'exilé tente le tout pour le tout. Il propose même de changer de vie, de devenir un simple entrepreneur au Soudan. Mais sa proposition est refusée. Le voilà expulsé du Soudan sans considération. Oussama Ben Laden le sait, sa revanche viendra. Désormais, il ne se battra plus pour les territoires d'islam, il se battra pour lui, pour sa propre revanche. Pour l'heure, il doit se réfugier dans le seul endroit qui lui est familier, dans lequel il est comme chez lui, Al-Masada, la tanière du lion, en Afghanistan. En arrivant là-bas, il ne sait pas de quoi sera fait l'avenir. L'Afghanistan est désormais aux mains des talibans, un autre groupe islamiste radical qui a pris le pouvoir à Kaboul, la capitale du pays. Ben Laden arrive dans un territoire de guerre civile et il n'a plus rien, plus de nationalité, presque plus d'argent car il a été contraint de laisser une partie de sa fortune au Soudan, plus de famille sur place. Mais ce n'est pas très grave car il a un bagage bien plus précieux que ça, sa réputation. C'est suffisant pour que ses anciens compagnons moudjahidines lui ouvrent les bras, le logent, lui permettent de réorganiser sa vie. En Afghanistan, Oussama Ben Laden n'a plus de pouvoir. Il doit fédérer pour mener ses plans à bien. Il y parvient assez vite. Il promet à tous que rien n'est joué, qu'ils peuvent encore agir, obtenir une revanche, changer le cours de l'histoire. Pour le moment, on est en 1996 et ces promesses ne ressemblent pas encore à grand-chose. Ben Laden est entouré de quelques fanatiques dans des réunions poussiéreuses. A priori, rien qui ne pourrait changer le cours de l'histoire. Ben Laden doit absolument mobiliser en Afghanistan. Il s'y est rendu notamment pour rencontrer le mollah Mohammad Omar, le chef des talibans afghans. Évidemment, l'homme connaît la légende Oussama bin Laden.
The jihadist warrior, mountain fighter, assures him that the Taliban government welcomes him to Afghanistan. Here he is and recognized. He can return to action. He now has invaded the United Muslim world, which according, both militarily and culturally, he therefore condemns what he calls their cultural invasion.
conviction very precisely in
A communique
1996
that calls for going jihad against America.
Un communiqué qui appelle à partir au djihad contre l'Amérique.
Music.
L'écho de cet appel est
The entire world now knows the name
and intentions of Osama bin Laden. He agrees to speak publicly, and his
First interview takes place on American channel CNN.
You have declared a jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
The U.S. government has committed acts that are extremely unjust, hideous, and criminal through its support of the Israeli occupation of Palestine. And we believe the U.S. is directly responsible for those killed in Palestine, Lebanon, and
The consequences are colossal.
sont colossales. Des jets
Jihadists flock from around the world to Afghanistan with the desire to go into combat under the orders of Osama bin Laden. Trembles.
le monde
the Western
Something
world
is happening.
quelque chose.
Faced with this
Osama
historic
bin Laden
influx,
employs grand means.
he has new training camps built for recruits, notably the Tarnak farms in southern
Afghanistan
Pour les recrues.
are terrorist
it simply,
preparation
these
camps.
Au sud de la
Large
all this is
infrastructures
ensured in
and
Bin Laden.
appears there as a master, a guide to one must pledge allegiance to. Join Al-Qaeda through a war oath. Bin Laden is a head of state, the chief of a pan-Islamic state.
Al-Qaeda
Al-Qaeda has several bases.
est un chef d'État.
There's one in particular where they train handpicked in
Al-Qaeda a plusieurs
the science of chemical weapons and explosives.
formes une poignée de
This base is the camp of Tora Bora in the Afghan mountains. The most radical train among themselves in the silence of these mountains. Said that Sheikh Osama bin Laden believes that we must attack everywhere. The theater, at the cinema, at restaurants are the future of jihad.
au théâtre,
All
Bin
this
Laden begins to affirm,
au restaurant. Que les
publicly, we must attack the
Tout ça,
Americans, commit murders,
must make America
we,
leave the Persian
Gulf.
commettre des meurtres, il faut que l'Amérique quitte le golfe Persique.
We do not differentiate between those dressed in military uniforms and civilians. They're all targets.
In 1998,
1998,
Osama bin Laden issues
That
a
is,
fatwa,
a judgment, a religious
decision, and therefore here a condemnation against the Americans to kill an American and their allies, civilian and military, is an individual duty for every Muslim who can do it in any country. His objective
War
is
is
clear.
declared.
Pris dans ses idées meurtrières, Oussama bin Laden passe des paroles aux actes. En 1998, il développe au sein d'Al-Qaïda une unité kamikaze, une unité suicide, destinée à former des soldats du djihad qui se tueront à l'occasion de leur mission. Pour la première fois, Ben Laden tourne le dos aux textes religieux qui interdisent le suicide. Pour lui, c'est la meilleure solution pour déloger les Américains. Sa radicalisation est totale. Il rencontre notamment Khaled Sheikh Mohammed, islamiste pakistanais. Les deux hommes s'entendent assez vite et Khaled fait une confidence à Oussama. Il lui livre son rêve, utiliser des avions pour attaquer l'Amérique. Alors que tout le monde a peur de la voie que prend le chef Oussama, celui-ci adhère aux idées de Khaled Mohammed et lui confie les opérations d'un projet de détournement d'avions de ligne. Voilà comment Al-Qaïda, qui reçoit toujours plus de monde, s'organise pour devenir le plus haut lieu du djihadisme mondial. Certains sont formés aux explosifs, d'autres au combat, les derniers partent en unité kamikaze.
From now on, Osama bin Laden speaks from.
He doesn't justify all his choices by the defense of Islam's interests. Operational mode of Al-Qaeda is declared. The attack. From 1992, the terrorist organization begins to claim
Attacks against American troops
in Somalia and Yemen. In addition to these events, Al-Qaeda is suspected of having organized an attack in 1993
in the parking garage of the World Trade Center.
But the organization has never claimed it. It's in August 1998 that Al-Qaeda makes itself known, driven by Mujahideen, destroyed the American embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. CIA station in Africa collapses.
These attacks kill more than 300 people and
wound 5,000, mainly African, civilians present at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Bin Laden,
we don't directly suspect. Suicide bombers survives the attack. Investigators discover that he is a member of Al-Qaeda. America must. Osama bin Laden is presented as one of the most wanted men in the world. FBI promises to offer $5 million to anyone who could advance the manhunt. Begin military American missiles Al-Qaeda bases in Afghanistan. Chief is no longer there. Obviously, the war in Manhunt. No one knows Osama bin Laden is hiding, except
Egyptian
his right-hand al-Zawahiri accompanies him everywhere.
Orders in October 2000 the suicide attack against the USS Cole,
the missile launcher ship of the American Navy, present in Yemen.
With explosives pierces the hull of
American ship before exploding. Inside. Attack 17 dead and 39 wounded. His silence, his image as a war chief, is strengthened in Afghanistan. And the atmosphere becomes heavy. Closest collaborators worry about the chief's new entourage. And they know something big is being prepared. Osama bin Laden plans to act on the course of history. In the summer of 2001, Osama bin Laden and his closest circle, secretly perfect A. New attack against America, large-scale attack. Even leave Al-Qaeda in August 2001 when bin Laden informs them of his ambition. We are on September 11. Time stops. At 8:46 a.m., a Boeing 767 from American Airlines crashes into the North Tower of the World Trade Center, the business center of New York.
Panic spreads through the streets of Manhattan.
At the same time, American President
George W.
Bush is giving an interview in
his classroom in Florida.
Advisor comes to whisper the news to him. At 9:03, plane of the same model comes to hit the South Tower. The Twin Towers, powerful America, collapse in this operation commanded by leader of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden.
The nightmare is not over.
At 9:37, third plane, a Boeing 757,